So what if the exact thing you rely on to be successful, like your ambition, your drive, your constant hunger for more, is actually, well, a spiritual disease?
It's a pretty radical idea, right? Today, we're looking at a text that basically argues your desire to, level up in life is exactly what is destroying it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you know that feeling when you wake up, check your calendar, and immediately feel like you are already behind.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone knows that feeling. It's exhausting.
Right. And we spend so much of our time trying to find meaning and absorb information without just, like, drowning in it, which is exactly why we are doing this deep dive today.
Yeah, we are exploring a really profound framework for living that asks a very uncomfortable question.
It really is. What if that exhausting feeling of being perpetually behind isn't just a modern cultural problem, but like the defining flaw of the human condition itself?
Right. It is a fundamental questioning of the baseline operating system most of us run on every single day.
So what exactly are we looking at today?
We're looking at a fascinating philosophical text. It's from March 11, 2013, written by Sheffing, and it's titled, "A Celestial Always Dwells in Contentment."
That is quite the title.
It is, yeah. And it sets up this really sharp, uncompromising contrast between what the author calls the human way of existing, which is characterized by endless, exhausting ambition, and the celestial way of existing.
Okay, and the celestial way is different how?
Well, it's described as serene, adaptable, and completely unbothered by the need to conquer or acquire.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the core premise here is this really stark dichotomy.
Yeah, exactly. Two totally different modes of being.
Right, so on one side, you have the human being, who the text describes as intrinsically driven by desire and the pursuit of the next milestone.
Always looking for the next thing.
Exactly.
Oh.
And on the other side, you have this concept of a celestial. And just to be clear for you listening, a celestial in this context isn't some mythical winged being floating in the sky.
No, definitely not.
Right. It's a psychological and spiritual state of being. It's a person who adapts with total ease, who flows freely with fate, and who acts spontaneously as circumstances arise rather than trying to, force outcomes.
Yeah, and it's critical to understand the analytical tone the author is setting here right out of the gate.
How so?
Well, this text isn't a gentle self-help manual telling you to practice mindfulness and take a bubble bath.
Right. It's much heavier than that.
It really is. It is a profound, almost surgical critique of human nature. The text frames ambition, the very trait we culturally celebrate as the ultimate virtue, not as a strength, but as an act of affliction.
Wow. An affliction.
Yeah, it treats ambition like a virus of the spirit.
That is mind-blowing. The best way I can visualize the mechanism of what the text is describing is to imagine being on a fast-moving river.
Oh, I like that analogy. Let's hear it.
Okay, so the human state is like being in a speedboat, desperately trying to paddle and drive upstream. The mechanism of your entire existence is resistance.
Right, because you're fighting the current.
Exactly. You are burning your own fuel, like your time, your health, your peace of mind, just to fight the natural current. And you are terrified because you are constantly running out of gas.
That makes total sense. And the celestial?
The celestial state is like floating down that exact same river in an inner tube.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You aren't static. You are still moving. You are still experiencing the scenery, but the mechanism is totally different. You've eliminated the friction.
You're letting the current do the heavy lifting.
Exactly. Simply responding to the bends in the river as they come.
That is a highly accurate visualization, especially regarding the concept of friction. And the text actually spends a lot of time dissecting exactly why the person in the speedboat, the human, is so incredibly exhausted.
Yeah, why are we always so tired?
Well, it dives deep into the anatomy of our discontent, looking at the exact mechanics of why we can never just sit still.
And the examples the author uses to illustrate this human striving, they hit painfully close to home.
They really do.
Because they describe the exact hedonic treadmill we are all trapped on. The text talks about how a human acquires a raincoat and immediately starts wanting an umbrella.
Right, it's never enough.
Exactly. Or, like, thinking about your next meal while your jaw is still actively chewing the first one.
Oh, man, I'm definitely guilty of that.
Right. We all are. It's this relentless escalation of baselines. You have $10,000, but suddenly your brain recalibrates and you need $100,000.
The goalpost always moves.
Exactly. You secure a comfortable house, but now you're dreaming of a sprawling palace. You have a partner, a wife, but you desire a mistress.
It's just climbing mountain after mountain.
Yes. Entirely propelled by a lack of whatever it is you don't currently possess.
What's fascinating here is how the text draws a direct causal line between the act of pursuit and the arrival of suffering.
Wait, a direct line.
Yeah, it doesn't say pursuit might lead to stress. It says pursuit is the stress.
Oh, wow. That's a huge distinction.
It is. The quote the author uses is, "The human heart knows no bounds, like a snake trying to swallow an elephant."
Okay, that is a grotesque, highly vivid image.
Right. A snake stretching its jaw around something impossibly large isn't just ambitious, it's self-destructive.
It's a biological error.
Exactly. The author is arguing that the exact moment you begin to aggressively pursue something, affliction physically enters your body.
Because life is brief and finite.
Right, but human desire is mathematically infinite. You are setting yourself up for an equation that can never balance out to happiness.
I struggle with this, though. I really do.
How come?
Well, if we turn off that itch for more, the lights go out. Civilization stops.
Okay, I see where you're going.
Right. I mean, if human desire wasn't constantly pushing us to cure diseases, invent new technologies, and build better infrastructure, we'd still be living in caves.
That's the classic counterargument.
Yeah, so doesn't labeling all pursuit as a demonic affliction feel completely counter to the biological wiring that keeps our species alive? Are we really supposed to just stop trying?
You know, it's the most natural defense mechanism of the modern mind to respond with exactly that logic. Like, but my anxiety is productive. My ambition keeps the lights on.
Exactly. That's what we're all taught.
But the text actually addresses this tension. Not by telling you to go live in a cave, but by grounding the philosophy in a surprisingly mundane, micro-level scenario.
Okay, lay it on me.
It's the operation of a mom-and-pop grocery store.
The grocery store dilemma. This perfectly illustrates what the author means by finding the limit of desire.
Exactly. So the author asks us to imagine a couple running a small, local grocery store.
Just a normal, everyday shop.
Right. They operate it with care, with honesty, and it provides enough profit for them to have a full, comfortable life. Their needs are entirely met.
Okay, sounds like a good life.
It is. But then the text poses a vital question. Why does the human mind instantly insist on expansion?
Well, we see.
Why do you feel the compulsion to leverage that single happy store to build a massive chain across the city, to recruit armies of staff, to stir up all this noise and frenzy?
Just to get bigger and bigger.
Exactly. And ultimately, the text argues, all that expansion does is make your neighbors envious, multiply your liabilities, and ruin your daily peace.
So the true sustainable happiness was located in just running the small shop well.
Precisely.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because that grocery store example is the ultimate mirror for modern hustle culture.
Oh, 100%.
We live in this scale at all costs business environment. If you have a successful small business, say, baking custom cakes from your kitchen, every podcast, every algorithm, every business guru tells you that you need to franchise it.
Monetize it. Build an empire.
Exactly. Turn it into a national empire.
Mm.
But the text predicted the burnout epidemic of our modern era by pointing out a simple psychological truth overindulgence invites disaster.
It's explaining the mechanism of scale.
Yes, scaling up your business usually just means scaling up your misery because you stop doing the craft you love and start managing complex, stressful systems.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the text establishes a very stark, almost cosmological division of energy.
What do you mean by cosmological?
Well, it states that tranquility, contentment, and natural living belong to the realm of the greatest creator.
Okay.
And we shouldn't think of that as a strictly religious figure, but rather as the representation of harmony and the natural, unforced flow of the universe.
So the inner tube on the river.
Exactly. On the flip side, unchecked ambition, the constant need for expansion and vanity, belongs strictly to the camp of demons.
The demons of ambition.
Right. Again, metaphorically, the energy of endless scaling is a destructive, chaotic energy. It eats its host alive from the inside out.
Okay, but wait. I have a major question here.
Sure, go ahead.
If scaling a grocery store is a demonic affliction, how does the author justify his own attempt to build a massive global empire?
Ah, yes, the elephant in the room.
Right. Because for context, the author, Feng, who refers to himself as the guide, founded an actual physical utopian-style community in China called Lifechanyuan.
And the goals for this community are incredibly grand.
Exactly. They aren't just trying to run a mom-and-pop operation.
No, they are absolutely not. The text reveals a massive, sweeping global mission for Lifechanyuan. The goal is to have all global paths and teachings return to one source, to have all religions converge into one harmonious world.
That is a huge ambition.
It gets bigger. Specifically, they aim to establish exactly 256 branch communities all around the globe.
256 branches. That is the definition of scaling.
Right. It is a monumental, globally ambitious goal that seems to directly contradict the entire premise of the inner tube and the grocery store.
It sounds like the ultimate corporate scaling project. But here is the absolute twist in the text regarding how they operate.
This part is fascinating.
The author explicitly states that achieving this massive global goal is emphatically not the job of the Chanyuan Celestials, the everyday people living in these communities.
Wait, really? So who does the work?
Well, the members are explicitly told not to worry about it at all. Their only job, their single designated task, is to just focus on their own inner tranquility.
To just focus on becoming celestials.
Exactly. The grand mission of building 256 physical branches belongs entirely to the guide and ultimately to the Tao itself.
It is an utterly fascinating psychological division of labor.
Right. It's so clever.
By telling the community members that the outcome is literally in the hands of the universe, they can work without the friction of anxiety.
Oh, that makes sense.
But what's even more radical is the detachment of the leader himself.
The guide.
Yes, the guide claims that despite managing this global vision, he actually cares very little for the outcome.
Wait, he doesn't care if it succeeds.
He writes that he lives with more ease and joy than anyone else, and to prove it, he gives a shocking real-world example.
Oh, I remember this.
There was an article published for the community titled, "The Second Home Faces Disaster. We Urgently Seek Guidance from the Wise."
And just to clarify for everyone listening, the second home was the name of one of their actual physical branch locations.
Right.
So this headline sounds like a total panic button being pushed. It sounds like an existential crisis for their community.
It reads like an absolute emergency. But in this text, the guide casually admits that the crisis article was largely a PR strategy.
A PR strategy.
That's wild.
It was a marketing gimmick to promote Lifechanyuan, and simultaneously a small test to gauge the spiritual depth and calmness of the Celestials living there.
Talk about a stress test.
Seriously, he states outright that he wouldn't panic even if the entire second home completely disappeared tomorrow, because everything is already predetermined by the plan of the greatest creator.
I have to ask the hard question here, though. He uses this amazing quote in the text. Why should the eunuch be anxious while the emperor is calm?
Yes, that quote is perfect.
In this metaphor, the emperor is the universe, the Tao, which has everything under control. The eunuch is the anxious middle manager, running around stressing out over every little detail.
We all know that feeling. But how does a leader maintain a hyper-specific logistical vision for 256 global branches while simultaneously possessing the absolute detachment to say, I'm certainly not in a rush?
It's a tough balance to strike.
Is this a state of true, profound spiritual enlightenment? Or is it just a highly effective psychological trick to avoid the crushing stress of management?
You know, it's the ultimate paradox of Taoist philosophy applied directly to leadership.
Okay, how does that work in practice?
The operational theory is that you can hold a grand vision and you can take diligent daily action toward it, but you completely sever your emotional nervous system from the results.
Sever your emotional nervous system. Wow.
You do the work, but you don't outsource your baseline of happiness to the outcome.
Okay.
The guide is essentially saying, I am an actor playing a part in a cosmic play, but the success or failure of the play at the box office is not my burden to carry.
It's so deeply counterintuitive to how we are taught to work in modern society.
Oh, absolutely.
We are taught that if you really care about a goal, you have to bleed for it. You have to lose sleep over it. If you aren't stressed, you aren't dedicated.
But the text is arguing that losing sleep over the work is exactly what poisons the work.
Which makes perfect sense when you think about it.
And that brings us beautifully from the macro level goals of this utopian community right down to the micro level day-to-day existence of you, the listener.
The daily practice.
Exactly. How does a normal person actually practice this profound detachment when they have, bills to pay and emails to answer?
The source material uses the most relatable, modern metric imaginable to explain this.
Oh, web traffic.
Yes, web traffic. The author talks about the community's websites, which were apparently doing perfectly fine, and asks his community, Why are we trying so hard to boost our popularity?
Why do we care about the numbers?
Exactly. And then he delivers this beautiful poetic metaphor. He says, think of an orchid blooming in a remote, hidden valley.
The valley orchid.
Yeah, that orchid doesn't suddenly wither out of shame just because no human being happens to walk by and admire it. Its beauty is intrinsic.
And the author pushes that concept even further. He suggests that from the perspective of cultivating true inner peace, it might actually be better if the rest of the world never knew their community existed at all.
Anonymity as a goal.
Right. The anonymity isn't a failure, the anonymity is the point. To support this daily practice, the test highlights what it calls the 3 treasures for a worry-free life.
And these require holding two seemingly contradictory mindsets at the exact same time, right?
Yes, this was the blueprint for how to actually pull this off.
Okay, break down the 3 treasures for us.
First, you need what the text calls a wood and stone mindset.
Wood and stone.
This means cultivating your inner virtue and your character without any vanity. You have to be as solid, quiet, and unmoved by external praise or criticism as a piece of wood or a stone.
No ego involved.
Exactly. The mechanism here is that if even a trace of vanity enters your mind, you immediately fall back into the realm of desire and suffering.
So what's the second mindset?
Well, because you still have to function in society, when you are actually out serving the world and managing affairs, you need the spirit of drifting clouds and flowing water.
Drifting clouds and flowing water. That sounds beautiful.
It is. You have to move through tasks fluidly without getting stuck or rigidly attached to how things turn out, because a hint of attachment leads straight to friction, and friction leads to danger.
So what does this all mean for you, navigating your own life today?
Yeah, how do we apply this?
Think about that valley orchid metaphor. It is the exact psychological opposite of posting a carefully curated photo online, checking it 5 minutes later, and feeling a physical drop in your stomach if it doesn't have any likes.
Oh, that is such a good comparison.
We have systematically outsourced our self-worth to an audience. We have tied our blooming entirely to whether or not we are being perceived.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
But this text is inviting you to experience the radical freedom of being perfectly content with being unobserved. To do good work, to be a good partner, to be beautiful in your own life entirely for its own sake, without needing an audience to validate your existence.
It's a complete recalibration of where you source your value.
It really is.
And the text really brings this home by shifting from abstract philosophy to a vivid picture of what a celestial's daily life actually looks like.
So what does a typical day look like?
It describes the members living in the 4th branch, which was another physical location of their community. And the very first metric of success it mentions is that they sleep until they wake up naturally.
The ultimate luxury in the modern world.
Honestly, it really is.
No blaring alarm clocks, no early morning adrenaline spike of panic.
Exactly. The text emphasizes that there is no management hovering over them, no one supervising their every move, no artificial corporate burdens weighing on their hearts.
That sounds incredible.
The guide says, I have washed away your worldly attachments. You need only flow with life. They're actively instructed to embrace idle joy.
Idle joy. And the text essentially prescribes sensory grounding to achieve this.
Sensory grounding, yeah.
Rather than just listing out activities, it asks you to step outside and actively notice the micro dramas of nature, to watch the arc of a bird in flight.
Just slowing down.
Yeah, to sit and listen to the incredibly mundane sounds of a neighbor's dog, or doves cooing, or to watch brightly colored fish swimming in a pond.
It's all very present.
The mechanism here is that observing the present physical world forces you out of your future-obsessed, calculating human mind.
That makes total sense.
You can't be agonizing over a 5-year plan when you are entirely absorbed in watching a flower bloom and fade right outside your doorstep.
And it's crucial to note that this isn't framed as a sterile, monk-like existence devoid of pleasure.
No, not at all.
There is charmingly practical, almost playful advice woven into this. The text describes the men in the community as handsome and witty, and the women as beautiful, graceful, and full of spirit.
It's very lively.
And it essentially asks, when you have this free time, why not enjoy a little romance? Why not engage in some playful flirtation?
I love that.
It encourages enjoying the human experience in a light, joyful, unattached way, rather than constantly worrying about the future.
Sitting atop a mountain of gold, why not hurry to attain immortality? That line really crystallizes the whole document for me.
It's a great line.
Because the mountain of gold isn't literal wealth. It's the immense wealth of having time, having peace, and having a beautiful environment right now.
You're already rich, essentially.
Exactly. The text is saying you already have it. Stop digging in the dirt for copper and just enjoy the gold you are sitting on.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
And that leads right into the closing poem of the text, which synthesizes the entire philosophy.
Oh, let's hear it.
An inch of time, an inch of gold. The path to immortality flows through the passage of time. Through wind and frost, through sunshine and mist, a celestial is always in contentment.
This raises an important question, though. A totally new angle for you to consider as we wrap up this deep dive.
Okay, what are you thinking?
We've talked extensively about the piece of being the unseen orchid, of living unobserved and unattached.
Right.
But if you truly embrace that, if you spend your life perfectly content, leaving no ripples, building no empires, and seeking no recognition, what happens to your legacy?
Ooh, that is a big question.
If you leave no footprint behind, does your profound inner peace come at the cost of your permanence in the world? Is it worth being forgotten by history if it means you actually got to enjoy your Tuesday?
That is such a compelling tension. And that is your challenge for today. Based on everything we've just unpacked from this fascinating source,
Yes.
can you spend just 1 hour today living like that unseen orchid in the remote valley? Can you do a piece of work well or enjoy a quiet moment fully without needing a single other person to see it, validate it, or measure it?
Just for an hour?
Yeah. Can you stop paddling that speedboat upstream just for an hour, lean back in the inner tube, and let the current carry you? Because according to this text, giving up the fight isn't a failure. Giving up the fight is the exact moment your life actually begins.